What's cracking, guys? Happy Monday. Hope you're all having a good start to your week. My name's Matt, one of the head coaches here at Empire Cryptocurrency Trading. And I want to jump on and really go through a lot of the charts, crypto and macro markets, and unpack price action. Obviously, with what's happening in the Middle East and a lot of big headlines coming out, it's a pretty volatile time for markets. And I'm interested. I want to see how the markets have opened and responded to some of this stuff and just go through some of my thoughts that I'm thinking as I'm going through them, and hopefully you guys can get some value out of that. So we'll start with Bitcoin. I'm a harmonic pattern trader. So I look at the market through the lens of structures called harmonic patterns. They're M and W shaped wave structures. You see two of them on the screen here. The one on the left is a Gartley, and the one here is a bat. So for me, I've been watching this since about Tuesday the 24th, since it formed, and got a very quick reaction off the lows all the way up to about 70,000. And for me, anytime I see a harmonic react, once it's hit its target and starts to like stall out, generally the expectation is some kind of deeper retest of the level that the harmonic completed at. So 62.5 is where we're looking for this to go in the intermediate term. And in that sort of retest phase, I thought we might get all the way there, but we formed a bat harmonic at the low, and we've gotten a bit of a reaction of that. But in the same light that we sort of came up here, and once we sold out, we're looking for that retest. It's the same through this area that we're in right now. And for that reason, like both of these patterns are kind of in alignment where this one is kind of looking for this level and this one's also looking for this level. So going to be a confluence here to say you're probably looking for a deeper test in the coming days. With that said, I think there's definitely a possibility of a larger breakdown occurring when I look at what harmonics could form here. You could get a larger butterfly harmonic just due to the 786B point, and that would form down here at 56, 57K. So we'll see what happens at the lows here. I think if you sort of crash through the 62.5 level, probably anticipate a deeper test. If you can turn around at the level, then potentially there's a bit of a copium to put in your pipe and smoke, because you can go for a more pronounced rally off that level. If you can kind of come down here and hold and do something like that, then like you can probably go as high as like you get them on like 73,000. You can go as high as like 91. Like that's the reality of the levels at the moment. But this is all if, once, could have, should have at the moment. Like just wait for the levels to get hit, see what happens at those levels, and you can sort of strategize around those times. But for now, this is the sort of main thesis that I'm looking at, and we'll see what happens in the weeks to come. Total. Look, it's tough going on total. To be honest with you, like it's got two really big bullish harmonics on like the daily and the sort of 3 day and the weekly. You retested this level at 875 billion. It's great. The problem is you're now like approaching 30 days post the harmonic completion. And there's just a general rule of thumb with any harmonic structure. You get 30 days or 30 bars, I should say, post the completion point, and you haven't reacted, you've chopped, you haven't really done anything meaningful, a constructive towards your price objectives. Generally, it's a dud. And if it's a dud, then we expect a deeper breakdown. So running out of time on this sort of larger setup, it can be beautiful, right? It can be amazing, but it's just not manifesting anything at the moment. So you probably got to the end of this week realistically before you should really anticipate a deeper breakdown. We'll see what happens here. And we've got these larger 618 and 382 targets highlighted. And if you can push off this zone, that's where I would expect this to move to. But for now, it's languishing, right? It's chopping. We've got some ideas on Ethereum. It's obviously very similar to Bitcoin. So we've got this butterfly harmonic, and we'll get that off, just make it a bit cleaner. It's also got the Gartley, and really the same deal as Bitcoin's looking for that retest to take place. It's a bit troubling on the daily. I think you've got a big daily level around like 1950 to 2000, and you're currently closing below it. And look, like you've got this big daily harmonic, and it's like this could be interesting, right? You could go for a bit of a run here. But the reason we have the microscope, I'm ready to get hurt again photo on this chart is because it's been a theme, right? Of this downtrend is like, you hit these levels of support and you can speculate, oh, we're back above 4,000. No, back in the downtrend. And oh, we're accumulating down here and it's, oh, low high and you lose 30% of the value, right? You have to understand like the climate is not great for speculation on crypto. And eventually, you get these counter trend rallies and these reflexive type mechanisms that push price higher. But that's not going to be in the bottom line of my trade thesis. I'm going to look for, confirmed structures that are doing constructive price action. And even though there is a bullish back here, it just hasn't done the necessary work at this time to give me enough to really like look to trade it. So you got to be skeptical, I think, in this environment, and that's why we have this guy up here because if you're just gung ho and going, well, on Ethereum or 1935, even though it's below the daily level, because it's been beaten down so much, so it's got to go back up, right? You are ready to get out again because it very well may do some damage, may hurt you again. Solana, we are back at sort of midpoint of this larger range. We've got this trade up from our Thursday section last week. I played up beautifully. Really simple idea, just a range trade going end to end. So it's sort of been stuck between about 90 and 78, just sort of oscillating through this zone. And we hit the bottom end on that was Saturday. Had a bit of a rally with the rest of crypto and sort of in a partial rise within that channel. And what I mean by that is when you are oscillating in a channel or a zone, it's sometimes like unclear where the breaks can be, and you get these subtle clues in the latter end of a channel that tell you might be breaking one way or another, and it's not like a definitive thing, but it's just like subtle clues that a lot of the time in retrospect, it was like, oh, it was going sideways in this channel, and every time it had to touch, these prices, and then suddenly it made a push down, and when it rallied back up, it couldn't make it to the top of the channel. So maybe it is signaling some weakness within this structure. So we'll see what happens. I think the bottom line is probably expecting the bottom of this channel again, and we'll see what happens there. But if that partial rise is true, then potentially it's signaling a resolution of this channel in a bearish way. So we'll see what happens there. I have a Nasdaq. So looking at this, we have been sort of speculating that a retracement is in order. On my live sessions, I've been doing with the Empire guys, and the reason for that is you have a bearish harmonic at a all-time 1618. So it's a bit hard to see, but essentially the 1618 of this high up here to this low, we're at the 1618 retracement of that. These are sort of cyclical growth limits, if you will, where price generally stalls out and often gives us a retracement. And the fact that we're kind of like continually respecting this zone and almost forming like the same kind of fractal that we formed in this period last year before the tariffing came in and we saw a bit of a pullback on the markets, doing the same thing. Gut down on the last market session and sort of in this sort of like bear flaggy type structure. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I think the market open will be very interesting. Like I think it's probably leaning towards violence at this point, but with all the headlines and uncertainty, you'll just have to kind of see how it opens. But for now, yeah, looking a bit weak. And I think that kind of spells that weakness out for me is definitely NVIDIA. If you follow the markets closely, NVIDIA had their earnings at the end of last week and, smashed it. They surprised on earnings by 5% and surprised on revenue by 3%. Numbers that would normally send a stock like NVIDIA in the right market conditions, absolutely freaking soaring higher, right? And the fact that it like pretty much sold up just a little bit and then just completely sold off after that tells you that maybe there's a bit of weakness in this market. Like, good news getting sold off is generally not a sign of like a strong bullish market. And something like Nvidia really spells that out for us. And obviously the Nasdaq is going to closely correlate to this. Nvidia is a big part of that. So something, just some food for thought, I guess, as we head into the markets for the next week. Something that we've identified as being a major strength in the last couple of weeks is utilities. So utilities, I think two parts, sort of playing that flight to safety, but also sort of tying into the larger sort of energy narrative that's in motion and the commodity cycle that's in motion. I would imagine if risk off kind of persists in the current weeks, probably expect utilities to continue doing well, and anything sort of closely correlated in that group to do well. We got oil, probably like the biggest story, I think, or the chart that you would expect to have had the most motion in the last 24 hours is oil. So I think gapped up about 12% on the open, and it sold off about a couple of percent from there. So it's up about 8% on the week at the moment. It all started on this bullish bat harmonic that we shared back right at the lows. Like, we've got recordings of these sessions literally pinpointing the low down here, which is pretty cool. TO respected. And you're really sort of at the upper resistance now. We'll see what happens. It's kind of respecting it for now. I'm not too like convicted that this is just going to blast through and just keep going, but you might be seeing a larger trend reversal take place. Deal with harmonics though is like, a greater retest always can kind of bring these things into play, like the great trend reversal. So like I'm not saying this is my base case, but I am cautious of the fact that you can roll over here, and it might take longer than what people expect for the oil idea to play out. It moves a lot slower than some of these things that we're used to in the crypto market. Gold up on the open, really strong today. We definitely were not part of the party of people that were like, "Oh, it's all over," when silver sold off from the top, and obviously the precious metals all just sort of took a whack. They took a whack after some of the most, you know, insane uptrends that you've ever seen in your life. So like nothing to gawk at. I think at the moment you are very close to a retest of 5,400. We're looking at the 4 hour for this kind of bat structure to hit. So we had this level at 5.4K and change. I'm almost there. So that's the current idea. We'll see what happens there. Generally, you kind of pause, you get some reaction, and then you just blast through if you're really strong. If it's going to sort of be a longer, more drawn out thing, then I imagine you get a test and something like this, and we might be oscillating for a while. Silver, same deal, really strong. Looking for a similar structure. So some kind of shark like this, makes a lot of sense. And it's 6 at the top, so 116. We will see, but that would be sort of your harmonic that would form at the highs if you're going to trace out any kind of harmonic structure here. So a little ways to go if it is targeting that level. And again, I really think with everything that's happening in the world, the precious metal cycle is very much still in play. I don't think it's wise to be top calling some of these assets, in my opinion. All right, we'll stop it here. Obviously, if you want the greater plays or the bigger scoop, the things that I'm really, really looking at, you know where to follow me. It's got to be an Empire. Where I share sort of my sort of high tier analysis, the plays and trades that I'm getting into and all that. So make sure you give us a follow there. And otherwise, thanks for supporting the video, and make sure you subscribe and like and share and all those things. I will see you guys around. Have a great week. Smash the markets. Take care.